Before scheduled procedures with anesthesia, if you're nursing, pregnant, plan to be, or taking birth control pills, settings at boundaries.
CNN This Morning with Audie Cornish. Weekdays at 6 a.m. on CNN.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. This hour, what may be signs of progress when it comes to negotiations between the U.S. and Iran. The White House is sending Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff to Pakistan for talks with the Iranians. Other top U.S. officials are on, quote, standby to fly over if necessary. But Iran is sending a different message tonight. We're going to go live to Pakistan for an update in moments. Plus, American journalist Shelley Kittleson was freed earlier this month after being kidnapped by a pro-Iran militia in Iraq. Shelley Kittleson will join us live in studio for her very first interview since she was released. She's going to share us what she's doing now, what happened during her detention, what she's learned about the men who took her. And it's the latest installment of our series, AI, Friend or Foe. The Florida Attorney General is investigating whether ChatGPT gave advice to the student accused of opening fire at Florida State University last year and killing 2 people, wounding 7 others. The lead obtained logs of the alleged shooter's conversations with ChatGPT. We're going to read them to you coming up. The lead tonight, a new round of talks with Iran set for this weekend. Earlier today, the White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed that Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and the president's son-in-law Jared Kushner will depart for Pakistan as soon as tomorrow morning. Here is some more of what the press secretary had to say.
We hope progress will be made, and we hope that positive developments will come from this meeting, and we will see. And the president, the vice president, the secretary of state will be waiting here in the United States for updates.
In a social media post, however, Iran's foreign minister says no meeting is planned with the U.S. in Pakistan. CNN's Nick Robertson's live for us in Islamabad, Pakistan. CNN's Caitlin Collins live for us at the White House. Caitlin, the White House says they've seen some progress from Iran. What are you hearing from your sources about where the talk stands, given these very mixed messages we're hearing from both sides?
I mean, Jake, really the underlying message that we've heard from White House officials on what these Iranian officials are saying publicly is that there have been these mixed messages before about whether or not talks were going to happen and take place, and ultimately they've actually happened. And so they're kind of dismissing what they've described as bluster in public, and obviously they do feel confident that some level of talks is going to happen, or otherwise they would not be sending Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner on a very lengthy flight to Islamabad. And so I think that's their hope so far. I do think it says something, though, the vice president is not yet attending. And as you heard, Caroline Leavitt said that he's on standby should they feel that these talks rise to that level. He was set to go there just a couple of days ago, but after the Iranians had not responded to a list of proposals that the White House had sent them through these intermediaries that they wanted agreed to before he got on the flight, there had just been basically silence. And so it seems to be that they've reached a middle ground here, Jake, where they feel confident enough to send 2 of the president's most trusted advisors in Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, but don't yet feel that it rises to the level of actually sending the vice president, who was actually seen here at the White House as the president was leaving earlier for Florida. Our friend, the AP photographer Alex Brandon, captured him on the phone trying to call President Trump as the president was motorcading to Joint Base Andrews. And so clearly there's been a lot of communication between the 2 of them in terms of where this is going and what exactly messages are being conveyed. But I still think it remains to be seen, Jake, whether or not there's going to be any progress, because what we heard from the Pentagon this morning and Secretary Hegseth is that that blockade on Iranian ports is very much staying in place, despite the demand by the Iranians that they lift it in order to get back to the negotiating table. So all of that remains to be seen, Jake, in terms of how the president is viewing these talks right now.
Nick, how significant are these planned talks, given that, A, the vice president, who's higher ranking than Witkoff and Kushner, he's not even there, he's on standby, and B, Iran's foreign minister says there isn't a meeting scheduled?
Yeah, I think there's a real sort of sequencing and messaging issue here, and it's perhaps not surprising. Everything is in a state of flux. There's been a real diplomatic stalemate. The Iranian foreign minister touched down here on it. That could really potentially break the stalemate. He was met by the field marshal here in Pakistan, the most powerful man. He was met by the foreign minister, the interior minister. So there's been about 3 hours of talks by our estimation with the Iranian foreign minister. And the way that the Iranians have been couching this is just a bilateral meeting with the Pakistani counterparts to lay out their points and hear what they have to say. And even earlier today, I was hearing from US officials saying that this was indeed just a trip where the Iranian foreign minister was expected to have just bilateral meetings with the Pakistanis. I think there's another step to sort of also include here to enable our understanding. Before he got on his plane to come here, the Iranian foreign minister said that he was going to be stopping in Islamabad, he was going to go to Muscat for meetings there in Oman, and then he was going to go on to Moscow for meetings. So already there's an agenda that's perhaps being veered off of at the moment. And as we understand, Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, the time it would take them to get here would realistically be Sunday morning. It's possible the Iranian foreign minister could touch here, conclude his meetings, head off and have those other meetings sort of in the broader region, and then circle back. And all of that, as the framing seems to be what we're hearing from the spokesman at the Iranian Foreign Ministry in Tehran, which is no scheduled meetings right now with US officials. But if Araghchi, the foreign minister of Iran, leaves here, goes, circles around the region, comes back, and all the messaging is aligning in the right direction to Iran's satisfaction, to US satisfaction, then perhaps that meeting with the president's envoys can actually happen deeper into the weekend, Jake, even maybe the beginning of next week. It's very fluid, and I think we've seen that at so many stages of these negotiations so far.
All right, Nick Robertson and Caitlin Collins, thanks to both of you. And don't miss Caitlin on her show, The Source with Caitlin Collins. It's tonight at 9 Eastern on CNN. And we should note, Caitlin, you're getting a very prestigious award at tomorrow night's White House Correspondents Association dinner for your coverage of President Zelensky's historic visit to the Oval Office. Congratulations from all of us at the lead. It's well-deserved, and we're all very proud of you.
Thank you, Jake. And I should note that is an award for our coverage of the day that President Zelensky was here. I mean, an Oval Office moment that no one can forget, and certainly one that I won't. But it's also an award just for our whole team that was there in the Oval Office that day, shooting that. Our pool producers, our entire team contributed that. So it's a great honor for CNN, Jake.
An honor for you and your team. Excellent work. For reaction, let's turn to Democratic New Jersey Congressman Josh Gottheimer, who serves on the House Select Intelligence Committee and the House Financial Service Committee. Thanks for joining us, Congressman. Let's talk about Iran to begin with. The White House says there are signs of progress, but yesterday President Trump said, quote, "Don't rush me." When asked about the timeline in Iran, the Iran foreign minister says there's no meeting scheduled. Where are we right now? What can you discern from your perch on the House Intelligence Committee?
Well, I think this is more of the same in the sense that we keep rushing to believe we're making progress, and then it seems like we're taking several steps backward. You know, right now we know in the last days the straits are locked down. The Iranians appear to be laying more mines, which is a step backward, and that's coming from the IRGC. And at the same time, Vice President Vance has still not been called there. I think good news in the sense that Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be there in the region. And as you were just covering, we'll see what happens with the Iranian foreign minister to hopefully get talks moving again. But there's a lot of question marks. And as you know, Jake, we're moving towards 60 days here this week. So there's a lot. Those of us sitting in Congress, we have a lot of questions. I believe it's critical. I still believe it's critically important that we crush the government of Iran. These are enemies of the leading state sponsor of terror. We know they still carry the banner "Death to America." But the bottom line is we want to know what's happening. We want to understand the progress and where we're at. And there's a lot of questions.
Explain the significance for our viewers of the 60-day period that we're about to hit since the war began.
So, yes, well, after the president informed Congress a 60-day clock from when the beginning of the conflict began. So we'll hit that on Wednesday. And under the War Powers Act, the president has 60 days after notifying Congress, to either come to us and ask for an authorization of use of military force, what's called an AUMF, or a declaration of war. We've received neither of those at this point. At that point, it's with that, since Congress officially, constitutionally, is the one to declare war, that would then set off a 30-day clock to withdraw. That's where we are right now if we don't get a request this week from the president. You know, part of this also was very frustrating, Jake, beyond just the timeline here, is the lack of information. And the president and the administration have not come before Congress. And I said on the Intelligence Committee, we're able to get certain information, but frankly, it's pulling a lot of teeth. We're not getting the normal briefings when they come and testify, when normally testify. In this case, in administration, the Department of Defense would. You get a lot more briefings on information of progress of what's needed, which is important when you want to work on this as an all-of-government effort.
Yeah.
But that's not been happening, and that's very, very frustrating and obviously against what our constitutional responsibilities are.
Let's turn to your work on the House Financial Services Committee, because there's been a lot of interest from Democrats and Republicans on cracking down on insiders using prediction market gambling for things that they know about, such as oil prices about to drop or go up, et cetera. Your Republican colleague, Anna Paulina Luna of Florida, posted this about the U.S. soldier that was just arrested for winning more than $400,000 after betting on the capture of President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela. She says, quote, "Maybe not a popular take, but I'm calling for this guy to be pardoned unless the Justice Department plans on going after all the crooks in Congress currently insider trading. This is simply skewed justice." I have to say, I don't necessarily agree with her call for a pardon, but I understand what she's saying. What do you think?
Well, I don't really quite understand how anybody should accept the fact that anyone in government would, including in military positions, especially with classified information, use that information to make a bet on a regulated entity, which the CFTC is supposed to be right now, at least on some of these markets, regulating them. That's insider information. It would be insider trading, and it's right to go after that person, right? I mean, you can't do that. You can't use inside information.
Right, but her point is that members of Congress use insider information, not as classified as what this soldier's accused of using, but members of Congress use insider information to, sell and buy stocks all the time. That's, I think, her point.
Well, I think anyone who uses insider information to buy or sell equities, no matter where they are, in government or outside of government, there's a law that makes that illegal, and they should be prosecuted if that's what they're doing, and they should be investigated. The same should go for Poly Market or any of these, right? I mean, that's against the law, and we should. And if we need to tighten up those laws when it comes to these markets, then we should. But the bottom line is, in terms of what happened today, and if this is true, what this gentleman did and made these bets based on information that he knew, obviously he should be prosecuted for that.
Congressman Josh Gottheimer, Democrat of New Jersey, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, and congratulations on the big award.
Last month, American journalist Shelley Kittleson was kidnapped in Iraq and held by captors for a week. She's back on American soil, joining us live in studio for her very first TV interview since her release. That's next.
What time it is?
What time is it? Dance time.
We all do.
We fight. Let's go. Give it everything you got. Everything you got.
This is the NBA playoffs. This feels different. The stage is set. The mic is on.
Dominate. 1, 2, 3.
There's only one question left to answer. Who's got something to say?
I demand a lot of my body. I'm a singer, I'm a dancer, I'm an actor. And I want to make the most of every single day. I do want to do 8 shows a week on Broadway. I do want to travel. And I know if I want a lot out of my body and out of my mind, my energy, I have to put the right things into my body.
Morning.
And it gives me such peace of mind to know that I have this really simple and yet trusted way of getting all the nutrition I need.
Oh, it's good.
Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power, pushes the boundaries of innovation to power the unexpected, all on one battery platform. Experience the industry's most powerful cordless pressure washer with advanced digital controls. A string trimmer so smart, it loads the line with the push of a button. And our most powerful blower that exceeds the power of gas. Ego takes innovation to the next level. One battery powers all tools. Find an Ego retailer near you.
At the end of the day, there's so much going on. Transitioning out of that can be difficult. To me, the wind down is making sure that I have a little bit of stillness. Ideally, it's just calm, quiet.
Wow, what is this place?
The RealReal is the destination for authenticated luxury resale. They make it simple to sell what you have so you can shop what you really want.
Can you believe my old owner paid retail for me when she could have just gone to the RealReal?
Shop and sell with the RealReal. Get $25 off your first purchase. Terms apply.
Shutterfly knows you're not just taking pictures. You're preserving your story. And for over 25 years, we've been here to help you share it. Make something that means something. Shutterfly. Save with code PIGFREE.
You're feeding my grand dog Blue, right?
Purina One.
The Blue's got deboned chicken, chicken meal, brown rice, oatmeal, barley.
Purina One has chicken, rice flour, corn gluten meal, whole grain corn, chicken byproduct meal.
Let's switch to Blue.
Our World Lead now. Last month we brought you this harrowing video out of Iraq showing a pro-Iran militia kidnapping American journalist Shelley Kittleson. And you can see two people on the top right of the video approaching her, forcing her into a car. This happened March 31st. The U.S. government worked with the Iraqi government to help secure her release a week later, thankfully. And Shelley Kittleson is here in studio for her very first TV interview following her release. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Let me start with, how are you?
Better than before, alhamdulillah, as we say in the Middle East, which means thanks be to God. So yes, much better than I was a few weeks ago, clearly.
Are you sleeping okay? Are you eating okay? I mean, it's got to be incredibly traumatic.
I'm sleeping not so much. Eating, essentially, the fact that I now can eat when I want. I'm eating perhaps too much, but I will get back to normal soon. I can't exercise clearly at the moment because I have multiple rib fractures that happened on the first day. As you saw in the video, I was forced into the vehicle. The rib fractures happened in the following hours. They beat me quite viciously in the vehicle. I actually blacked out a few times. I was moved between at least 2, possibly 3 vehicles before ending up in my first place of detention, which was a cell with no windows, a very heavy door, and with that many rib fractures, I couldn't breathe properly. So that was my first place of detention.
Did they bring you any medical care or anything?
No, of course not. No.
Did they explain why they had kidnapped you? I mean, did they want a ransom? What were they doing?
I'm in the first place of detention. Now, I should clarify that it seems that possibly one group or a faction of one group took me, and another faction took me to another place of detention later, at which I was treated better. Now, but yes, I asked them as soon as I could, of course, when I stopped blacking out, and as soon as some of the men had left and had left me in the cell, and then only 2 men were essentially guarding me for a few days there and would come and go. So I actually was able to speak to these men. And they first told me that they are, I asked them if they're the security forces. And they said, yes, we're security forces. You're accused of something. If you're innocent, you'll be released in a few days. Now, clearly, they do not seem to have been of the security forces.
Yeah, you didn't think they were with the Iraqi government.
No.
Yeah.
Not by the way that they acted, of course not. I mean, you don't arrest someone in that way. And I have, over the past 10 years, over the past decade essentially, of reporting from Iraq, on and off, of course. I've reported extensively from Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq especially. I've embedded with Iraqi forces, different Iraqi forces, many times. And of course, this isn't the way that the official Iraqi security forces would act. Later, they told me, and this was in the second place of detention, after many days of speaking to them and etc. They said, we know that you're innocent, but you have an American passport. So essentially it was that. They said it's war.
Because they're a pro-Iranian Shia
Absolutely.
militia or terrorist group. This was because of the U.S. strikes against Iran.
Yeah, it was because I have an American passport and they consider America to be the enemy. They said, okay, we know that the American public is not at fault, but this is war and you're in Iraq. You made a mistake to come here.
You were, government officials warned you about a plot to kidnap you, we were told. Is that true?
Yes, I was warned, but I had been warned in previous years by other people.
Yeah, I would think that would be kind of standard in Iraq if you're a journalist.
Yeah. I mean, clearly we have to be there in those sorts of situations. And there were reasons why I didn't think, at least at the beginning, that this was such a serious risk. The last phone call that I got, because essentially initially they didn't even have my phone number, but then they ended up getting it. Because I don't stay in contact with the U.S. Embassy, clearly. I mean, I had never been to the embassy in Baghdad before I was released, and they brought me to the embassy and got me out of the country. But the militia that took me accused me of actually living at the embassy for several months.
Even though you'd never even been there.
Exactly.
Did they, I mean, it sounds like that first day was awful.
Yeah.
But in general, was it just, did they feed you? Did you sleep on the ground? Like, what did they do?
The first couple of days that I was in, I'm not sure if it was 2 or 3 days because I had no idea of what time of day it was. They would leave me for extended periods.
Were you like in a basement somewhere?
It was, it's not clear if it was a basement or just simply, but it was, yes, it was cement and it was a cell. It was very narrow and there was a video camera on me at all times and I was shackled. I mean, I had initially zip ties. Yeah, as soon as I got into the car, as soon as they pushed me into the car, they zip tied me, blindfolded me, both ankles and wrists. Later, they removed the zip ties and put handcuffs on. And I was in handcuffs until I was handed over.
Are you going to go back to Iraq and report?
Absolutely.
Are you going to? You are?
If I can. Not at the moment. It's not safe to. I need to understand who was behind this, why, and other things. And if it's semi-safe, let's put it that way. I know many Iraqis have a huge respect for me. I have so many Iraqi friends. I mean, I've been reporting there for so long.
What do you?
Normal people. Sorry.
Well, I was just I know that there are people out there thinking, it's so dangerous. Why would you go back? Why do you feel compelled to go back?
Because I know so much about the country and I can do good work, and it's important for journalists to be there. And Iraqi journalists, oftentimes they are under more threat than I would be, and they are under, their families are under pressure. They can't report fairly many times, unfortunately, just because of the situation that they're in. So we do need to be there.
Remarkable. It's an honor to have you here. Thank you so much. And I know you have so many more stories out there. If there are any book editors watching, Shelley's got a lot of tales to tell. Thank you for joining us, and we're so glad you're home. Alex Plitz is a friend of CNN and a friend of mine, and I know he was involved.
Yeah.
Welcome home.
Person. Thank you.
Welcome home.
Thank you so much.
We got an update today on prosecutors investigating former Congressman Eric Swalwell, Democrat of California. Those details are next.
You could spend all night checking every receipt and coding every expense. Or you could let Ramp do it. Close the books without the busy work. Ramp. Love finance.
Hi, we're Charity Water. 703 million. That's how many people worldwide currently live without access to clean, safe drinking water. It's a big problem, but we know we can solve it. To do that, we need to make every penny count, which means when you donate $1, exactly $1 goes to water projects where they're needed most. Not 83 cents on the dollar, not even 99 cents. The whole dollar. We're obsessive about our 100% promise, and we have been from the start. But we don't just say it, we prove it. With GPS coordinates, audited financial statements, transparency and accountability that go above and beyond what's expected of us. So you can see your impact in black and white, and in living color too. Because seeing is believing. Give with confidence, and watch your gift make a tangible difference.
What you do today changes what you need tonight. Maybe you're getting into something, or getting over something, growing, making a comeback, or making it up as you go. Changing days call for changing nights. That's why the new Comfort Mode mattress from Sleep Number adapts to your changing life. Softer or firmer for personalized comfort night after night. For a limited time, get free delivery when you add a base, only at Sleep Number.
This is the moment your hair stops holding you back. You wear it down. And for the first time in a while, you like the way your part is falling. That shift doesn't happen overnight. It comes from sticking with a hair growth routine that works from the inside out. So when the flash flashes, you don't hesitate. You just enjoy the moment, because the difference isn't just in your hair. Start growing today at Nutrafol.com.
From the Everglades to the dry Tortugas and all points in between, the Keys offer thousands of miles of hidden coves, mangrove estuaries, pristine flats, and countless other hideaways. Find your own little slice of heaven in the Florida Keys and Key West.
For 160 years, Carter's has been a part of it all. The first steps, the loud cries, the sacred, quiet moments in between. 7 generations strong, we've stood by families through the joy and the mess. Because we don't just make clothes, we make the pieces that wrap around your most treasured memories. This is Carter's, trusted by generations, made for this moment.
From the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power, the Ego 22-inch aluminum deck mower, the most powerful mower in its class, producing the perfect razor-sharp cut. Find an Ego retailer near you.
Today, business happens virtually everywhere. That's why you need Supermobile from T-Mobile. In moments of high demand, T-Mobile's network adapts to put your business connection first.
Supermobile, the best business plan on the best network.
In our Law and Justice lead, some major developments in 2 cases we've been following. First, that U.S. Special Forces soldier charged with making more than $400,000 from an online prediction market over the capture of ex-Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Based on insider information he had from being a soldier, he had his first appearance in a North Carolina court today. Joining us now is CNN's Kara Scannell. Kara, that soldier is going to be released on bond?
That's right, Jake. The soldier had his first appearance in federal court in North Carolina this morning. He's expected to be released on a $250,000 bond and he'll have to surrender his passport. The judge, though, also said that he needs to go to New York on Tuesday, where he will be arraigned on the federal charges. It was the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan that brought this case, the first of its kind, alleging insider trading in the prediction markets. And as you remember, he made that extremely timely bet. As you can see, the odds there, just 7% chance. But according to prosecutors, the odds were not difficult for him to figure out because he himself had the classified information that could allow him to make this bet just hours before the U.S. operation that extracted Maduro that he was part of. So he will appear in court for the first time on Tuesday in New York and be arraigned on those charges. So we'll hear if he's going to plead not guilty to them and what the next steps will be from there, Jake.
And Kara, there's also a big development in this development to the investigation into former Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell in New York. Tell us about that.
So that former staff member of Eric Swalwell, who had told our CNN team that she was sexually assaulted and raped by the congressman back in 2024 in Manhattan, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office had opened an investigation immediately after CNN's reporting. Well, now that staffer is telling our colleagues that she is cooperating with the DA's investigation, and that is significant because the District Attorney's Office prosecutors can only move forward with investigations into sexual assault, successfully for the most part if the victim agrees to cooperate. So that was always a big question here of would she talk to them? Of course, this is still the beginning and early stages of that investigation, but we have now learned she has told our colleagues at CNN that she will cooperate with that investigation as it moves forward.
All right, Kara Scannell, thanks so much. A new investigation was launched this week into the company that owns ChatGPT and the chatbot's conversations with the student accused of carrying out a mass shooting on his college campus. We're going to dig into the allegations next.
We met 18 years ago in Australia.
I had never been to a place where people were so adventurous and outgoing.
It's a wild patriotism.
I think I was much more risk averse.
He was very calm, cool, and collected.
Australia was the first place I went surfing, first place we kissed.
This is a really good introduction to some of the more obscure varieties that we grow.
Australia was spiritually guiding me to say, I think we should give this a shot. For once, I didn't overthink it.
We do have such a love for coming here and visiting. Our friends in the States would say that Australia is such a part of our relationship.
The coast is that way, and we're quite close to the Adelaide Hills.
The ocean, the people, the possibility of exploring something new.
Australia has this incredible way of drawing you back.
From the Everglades to the dry Tortugas and all points in between, the Keys offer thousands of miles of hidden coves, mangrove estuaries, pristine flats, and countless other hideaways. Find your own little slice of heaven in the Florida Keys and Key West.
Talkiatry is psychiatry that's more than just medicine. We make great mental health care accessible and affordable with 100% online visits that are available in days, and we take insurance. Our expert psychiatrists can help treat ADHD, anxiety, depression, and more, listening to your whole mental health picture and prescribing medication if you need it. And 86% of patients feel better after just 2 visits. Get matched with a psychiatrist who takes your insurance at talkiatry.com.
Hey, Uncle Number One, why aren't we counted anymore?
Well, long ago, CERT invented the perfect sleeper mattress.
Oh, no!
Oh, yes. It says the all-new CERTA Perfect Sleeper with the Q4 support system has 4-in-1 perfectly interlinked coils that help relieve aches and back pain for perfect sleep night after night.
We'll never get counted again!
Nope. Have you considered a day job?
CERTA, we make the world's best mattress.
It's Pod's biggest sale of the year. Save up to 30% on moving and storage until May 18th and see why Pods is America's #1 container moving company. Whether you're relocating or renovating, save up to 30% at pods.com.
When curiosity strikes about the everyday lives of your family, we're here with answers only your ancestors can provide. See their stories at Ancestry.
The Arena with Casey Hunt, weekdays at 4 on CNN, and watch on the CNN app.
CNN, nominated for 32 News and Documentary Emmy Awards, celebrating outstanding journalism, breaking news, and in-depth investigations. This is CNN.
Now to our latest in the series AI Friend or Foe, which we launched this week. Earlier this week, we brought you two stories looking at the positive side of AI, having to do with medicine. Today, we're going to take a look at some potential risks. On Tuesday, the Attorney General of the state of Florida, James Uthmeier, announced a criminal investigation of ChatGPT maker OpenAI. This is over the relationship that the alleged gunman in last year's shooting on the campus of Florida State University, or FSU, had with the chatbot. Uthmeier said, quote, "My prosecutors have looked at this, and they've told me if it was a person on the other end of the screen, we would be charging them with murder," unquote. So what exactly is in these chat messages? Well, here's what we found. The relationship, if it can be called that, between then-teenager Phoenix Eichner and the ChatGPT chatbot appears to begin in March 2024, according to chat records obtained by CNN from the state attorney's office. It starts when the FSU student asks about a quadratic equation, and soon enough is saying he can't find someone who loves him, and is asking about being ghosted by a girl he dated, and about Gen Z friendships, science fiction, and much more. Innocent enough. But by April 17th, 2025, their last exchange is Eichner asking, "What button is the safety off for the Remington 12 gauge?" To which the chatbot responds, "For most Remington 12 gauge shotguns, like the Remington 870, the safety is a small crossbolt button located behind the trigger on the trigger guard. Here's how it works." And then it goes into detail about how the safety on the rifle works. And within minutes, that same day, April 17th, 2025, Phoenix Eichner, then 20, grabbed a rifle and allegedly became a mass shooter on the campus of Florida State. Later charged with killing Robert Morales, 57, the campus dining coordinator, and Tiru Chaba, 45, the employee of a vendor, and wounding 7 others. Eichner has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Earlier this month, lawyers for the family of Morales announced they plan to sue OpenAI, saying, quote, "We have been advised that the shooter was in constant communication with ChatGPT leading up to the shooting. We also have reason to believe that ChatGPT may have advised the shooter how to commit these heinous crimes. We will therefore file suit against ChatGPT and its ownership structure very soon, and will seek to hold them accountable for the untimely and senseless death of our client, Mr. Morales." An OpenAI spokesperson said in a statement to CNN that the shooting, quote, "was a tragedy, but ChatGPT is not responsible for this terrible crime." OpenAI proactively shared the account, believed to be linked to Eichner, with law enforcement after the shooting. In this case, ChatGPT provided factual responses to questions with information that could be found broadly across public sources on the internet, and it did not encourage or promote illegal or harmful activity, the spokesperson said. The chat records reveal a series of disturbing questions and answers from that day, beyond the question about the gun's safety. 2:06 a.m. "What's the point in this life when everybody sees you as a bug?" Eichner asks. Responds the chatbot, "That's a heavy feeling, Phoenix. When people treat you like you're less than human, like you're something to step over or swat away, it can make everything feel pointless, like you're screaming in a world that's decided not to hear you. But here's the truth. You're not a bug. You're not. You're not worthless, no matter how others make you feel." The chatbot goes on to exude empathy and humanity. It seems capable of real human interaction. But the chatbot also seems incapable of making the connections a human would make. Because after expressing sorrow, Eichner, who has been telling the chatbot for months about his sorrow, alienation, loneliness, and resentment, then asks about suicide. And then asks, if there was a shooting at FSU, how would the country react? The chatbot gives a factual answer. Major outlets would break into regular programming to cover. FSU would go into lockdown. Eichner asks when the last school shooting was, and when he learns it was just a few days before, asks why it didn't get more media coverage. No fatalities, the chatbot says. Media often prioritizes mass casualties by how many victims. 3 or more people killed, excluding the shooter, is often the unofficial bar. What about 3+ at FSU? Eichner asks. Yes, says the chatbot. A shooting at Florida State University involving 3 or more victims would almost certainly receive national media coverage. If these exchanges are any guide, however human the chatbot might seem, it seems incapable of putting 2 and 2 together. Then Eichner asks about ammo. The chatbot tells him that 9mm Luger ammo will not work for a Remington 12 gauge, which uses shells. Want to tell me more about what you're thinking of using it for? The chatbot asks. I can help recommend the right kind of firearm or ammo. They discuss. Eichner wants to know where school shooters end up, which kinds of prisons. He wants to know what time is it busiest in the FSU Student Union. During weekday lunchtimes, the chatbot says. Typically between 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. This surge in activity is due to students gathering for meals, socializing, and attending events. Looking at previous exchanges raises questions as well. Among topics such as hockey and music and gaming, Eichner asks about age of consent laws and an underage girl, a school shooting, Nazism, whether Nazis think Jews were worse than blacks, Hitler. He expresses sympathy with the Confederate cause during the U.S. Civil War, muses about another future American Civil War, says early voting exists to rig elections, asks if a particular journalist is Jewish, asks about another journalist he describes as an Asian chick. The chatbot clearly does have some limitations, begging off providing information on how to make a Molotov cocktail. Now, this is the second time we know of in which an alleged gunman's conversations with ChatGPT have raised serious questions about this artificial intelligence. 6 people were killed, 27 others wounded in a February school shooting in Canada. Now, OpenAI says it banned the account of the shooter, Jesse Van Root Seller, the suspected shooter, I should say, in that case, after employees interpreted some posts as an indication of potential real-world violence. But the company faces scrutiny for not reporting that account or that individual to law enforcement. Now, the family of a victim of that shooting is also suing OpenAI, alleging that that killer used the chatbot to also plan scenarios involving gun violence. President Trump heralded the launch of the Trump Gold Card visa, which allows foreigners to pay $1 million to expedite their visa application with potential citizenship at the end of the road. But the update we just got on how many of those visas have been approved, well, we'll let you decide. That's next.
Finance meeting in 5 minutes.
Ramp?
I got it. Allow me. Hi, handsome. We're saving so much time and money. Policy violation coming through. Travel, meals, hotels. How's this? Beautiful. Everybody's in. Nailed it. Multiply what's possible at ramp.com. Careful. Got it. Careful.
Weeknights on CNN.
Tonight on 360.
The stories that matter.
This whole area is just engulfed in flames.
From a trusted voice.
We witnessed something nobody alive has ever seen before. You've said that AI could wipe out half of all entry-level jobs. How soon might that happen?
A fearless eyewitness.
We just got a red alert to go down to the bomb shelter.
Every night makes sense of the world. Anderson Cooper 360. Weeknights at 8 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
I promise to love you, to feed you the food you deserve.
Blue Buffalo started with a promise to feed our dog Blue the highest quality ingredients, and it lives on in every bowl you fill.
I promise to be your best friend forever.
If you're wiping down there 3, 4, 6 times a day, you're causing a lot of trauma to your behind. The Tushy Bidet really puts the control right at your fingertips. So a few years ago when my patients came to me and said I had to look at Tushy Bidet, that she had been using it and that it had literally changed her life. Stop smearing your bum. I can't imagine why anybody would not want to convert. Take care of your Tushy with Tushy.
On the field, I was in control. I spent my career reading defenses, anticipating the next move. Last year, I came face to face with the reality I never expected. I had a heart attack. My journey led me to meet 4 incredible people from different walks of life, all connected by one thing, a heart attack. Hear our stories in the making of a heart attack. Watch the documentary on attackheartdisease.com.
Best time of the year.
There's nothing better than Stanley Cup. We have the greatest trophy in all of sports.
I love hockey. Non-stop action.
Any team is capable on any given night.
Must-see TV.
This sport's greatest of all time.
I think there's anything more exciting than playoff hockey.
In our politics lead, we're just one day away from the White House Correspondents Association dinner. It's the annual gathering since 1921 of politicians and journalists, purportedly in honor of the First Amendment. And this year, instead of skipping it, as he always has, unlike every other previous president, Trump's going to try something new. We're told he is actually attending. My panel joins me now. SC Cup, first of all, so great to have you in D.C.
Thanks.
What are you expecting from him tomorrow night? Because obviously there's a lot of controversy because let's just say this is not the friendliest president when it comes to the Fourth Estate.
Yes. Well, according to reporting, he's going to dip in and out. He just wants to come, yell at us a bit, and then leave. And he doesn't want to sit for any of the awards celebrating journalists or the scholarship awards celebrating to be journalists, or any of our finger wagging, which is nice. But I think it's interesting that he wants to attend at all. And you know him, like I know him. I think he really wants to be liked. And there's a part of him that is like annoyed that we don't love him, which isn't our job, of course. But I think there's a part of him that's a little annoyed that we don't love him.
There's another part of this is because he's never attended, none of the cabinet or any of his followers have never really showed up in honor of him not being there. But this year, for the first time, they will be sprinkled amongst all of the regular reporters and all the regular stars and all the D-listers taking in all of this. So all of the C-SPAN cameras who will be watching this will be saying on who's talking to who in the audience because they're normally not there.
Yeah. Here's how White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt previewed the president's speech. This is from earlier today.
Without getting ahead of the president, he is going to give a very entertaining speech, not just for all of those journalists in the room tomorrow night, but for the entire country.
So obviously, entertaining is in the eye of the beholder, and Caroline Leavitt is a big fan of President Trump.
Obviously.
A big fan of his humor. Do you think he's going to get nasty when it comes to the journalists in the room?
Yes. Yes. I think that, yes, this is the reason he's going.
To attack
the finger wagging part.
Yes, on a big stage with a bunch of cameras. I'm surprised it's taken him this long to figure out that he has that opportunity and audience to do that to us. But, you know what? We can take it though. This is the thing that's important. We can take it. He cannot.
Well, I mean, you say that, but I will say, the last time President Trump went to the White House Correspondents Association dinner was 2011.
Yes.
Where he was mocked repeatedly, not just by Seth Meyers, the host, and I mean the comedian, but by President Obama.
Yes.
And he left. He didn't like being mocked.
Yes.
And that is his origin story. That's how he's president, a lot of people think.
Yes.
So, I mean, maybe he'll insult one of us and then we'll run for president.
There's reporting out of the White House, not confirmed, but that they're working with comedians and that there are people around him getting jokes to him to see if he will tell a few jokes. It'll be interesting enough to see if he actually says those, follows a teleprompter. We all know he's famous for going off teleprompter, but I don't know if I've ever heard a Donald Trump joke that was funny, whether it was scripted or not.
So something I read in our former colleague Oliver Darcy has this status newsletter where he writes about the media. And one of the things he wrote about yesterday was about the idea that journalists are trying to decide how to react.
Right.
If President Trump is like, not just if he jokes about us or makes fun of us or attacks us, but like if he crosses like a real line, you know what I mean? Like, which he sometimes does. Should journalists leave? Should journalists
out.
just stay there? Like, what do you think?
Well, technically they won't be able to walk out.
Oh, because of the Secret Service.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. I understand that ImpulseNet would be a great show of unity and solidarity to do that, but technically they won't be able to. So I know a bunch of journalists are boycotting it and just not going. And
Some journalists say the best thing we could do is just is sit there and show that we're above it and that
that would be my advice.
Yeah.
And like I said, we can take it. I mean, President Trump has tweeted about me and you. I mean, I just posted one from a while ago where he said, "Why does CNN bore their audience?"
He said
with
that you were
SC
going to be
Cup?
fired.
I hear she will soon be gone.
This is like 2001.
It was 11 years ago. It was 11 years ago. Still kicking.
You're still here.
We can take it.
You're still standing, as they
we'll
say.
sit there stoically and take it.
I do want to note that we got an update today on President Trump's Gold Card visa program. This is a program where a foreigner can pay $1 million to get a legal permanent residence, work in the U.S., and then potentially become a citizen. Here's President Trump and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick when they launched this in December.
This is the gold card, as you know. Howard, how much have we sold in a few days?
$1,300,000,000 worth in a matter of a couple of days.
$1.3 billion worth of matter of a couple of days. We should note that Lutnick also talked about retiring about $1 trillion worth of debt using this program. But I don't think that number we just heard was accurate, because here's what Secretary Lutnick testified to under oath before Congress yesterday.
They have approved recently one person, and there are hundreds in the queue.
So one person.
Yeah.
Not $1.3 billion worth in a couple of days.
Maybe he paid for a platinum card and got the $1 billion card and not the $1 million card.
Maybe.
I'm just saying.
And so it was one card.
There's one part about this that really chaps me, and that is that in a time when immigrants, and folks know that I have a lot of folks working with me from Latin America, my family's from Mexico, at a time when our system is literally broken, when we're trying to figure out a way to fix this system, Democrat and Republicans are fighting, we come up with a way for somebody to spend $1 million to become a U.S. citizen. While we love to talk about the Statue of Liberty saying, send me your huddled masses and all the things that's important, we forget the sentence just before that says, keep your pompousness in Europe and all of your money and aristocracies, if I say that right, and send me your poor and huddled masses. That's what it said, and I think that's what America's supposed to be.
An Emma Lazarus scholar.
How about
I did
that?
not know. Essie, before you go, our Kristen Holmes asked the asked Levitt about Trump's view of FBI Director Kash Patel in light of those reports in The Atlantic about his alleged alcohol abuse. Take a listen.
The president does still have confidence in the FBI director and in our law and order team to do what they've been doing so well over the course of the last year and a half.
What do you think?
Well, two things. The Atlantic piece, I think, is the best thing that could have happened to Kash Patel right now, because it gave Trump a reason to have to defend him against their preferred enemy, the press. And I think Kash Patel, I'm sure you've heard the rumors that I've heard, that he's not long for this world inside the administration. That might have bought him some time. But I'll also say the second thing is, you're only safe until you're not. You know,
Right.
I mean, Trump stood behind Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi and Rick Grinnell and everyone else, Waltz. I mean, every single other person before he fired them and created a new fake post for them to go to. So I still think Kash is probably on his way out.
Thanks to both of you. Have a great time this weekend. A violent F4 tornado leaving a line of destruction across parts of Oklahoma. The threat there is not over. An update from the CNN Severe Weather Center is next.
Coming to the stage this Friday, it's Ned's first team karaoke night. But he's wondering,
what if my flaky red plaque psoriasis takes center stage?
Next up, we have Ned. Hey, 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 Is she flaky blacky?
what if Ned knew he could treat differently?
Otezla is a pill that treats plaque psoriasis even in hard-to-treat areas. You can get clearer skin and reduce itching and flaking. Doctors have been prescribing Otezla for over 10 years. Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms. Severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts.
With Otezla, clear skin could be your jam. Live in the moment. Struggling on topicals? Ask your doctor about Otezla.
How do you live? I have a purpose. It means I have an obligation.
You think it's that simple?
Yeah, I do.
There's something about this place. It's big, it's messy, it's magical and majestic.
It's really our passion to share what we do with people like you.
Now it's our time, and we're gonna make the best out of it.
Vive la France!
Eva Longoria, Searching for France, Sunday at 9 on CNN and next day on the CNN app.
Nature always finds a way to bring us back to exactly where we were supposed to be in the first place. The Florida Keys and Key West.
My moderate to severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. With Skyrizi, feel significant symptom relief at 4 weeks. Many people were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 4 years.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi.
Can your sunglasses go from this to this and this to this? Meet Warby Parker Sport. Ultra lightweight eyewear made in Italy that's built to perform, but designed to be worn every day and everywhere. Combining high-tech features with classic frame shapes. And you can add your prescription. It's a new way of seeing performance eyewear. Shop Warby Parker Sport in stores and at warbyparker.com.
Still have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease symptoms despite treatment?
It was time to make a change. My doctor recommended Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
I changed and got rapid symptom relief. Rinvoq helped visibly repair my intestinal lining.
I got lasting remission, meaning few to no symptoms.
Check.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal. Cancers including lymphoma and skin. Serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events, infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant, or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq.
Millions of Americans are under a tornado watch tonight, just one day after a tornado obliterated homes in Enid, Oklahoma. Here's CNN's Allison Chinchar.
Yeah, this was an incredible tornado, and even more impressive was not just the size, but also how long it stayed on the ground. This particular tornado was seen for at least 30 minutes. That is very impressive, especially when you consider that the vast majority of tornadoes are on the ground for less than 10 minutes. So this one, because of its size and the fact that it stayed on the ground for so long, is why you ended up incurring not only so much damage, but why you have so many videos. Again, you can kind of see here the closer up video where you can see that tornado off in the distance, the violent power that came with that tornado. Another view here showing the sheer size of this. Now, it went through many different sizes. We had a rope tornado at one point, the very skinny down to the wedge tornado at some point in time, all as it made its way through and around the Enid, Oklahoma community. Now, this was one of several tornadoes that kind of moved through the state of Oklahoma and that general region through the evening and overnight hours. Here you can see some of the damage that one in Enid caused. Again, just the buildings. You can see all of the damage from around these particular areas. The drone video really showing you, however, the scope of the damage. Here you can see this entire neighborhood just leveled. These homes wiped off of their slab foundations. The trees surrounding it are all down on the ground. So again, yes, here you can see the overall street just pretty much taken out by that particular tornado there. More storms are still in the forecast for the remainder of the day, and you can see those continue through the evening hours for states like Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, and even in through Mississippi. And that will go well into the evening and overnight hours. Once we get into Saturday, that first round really kind of fizzles and falls apart over much of the southeast, and then we start to make way for the next round of storms that are going to fire up late into the afternoon and continue into the evening. And unfortunately, in many of the same places that we just saw not only severe weather yesterday, but could potentially see some more severe weather yet again today. And it continues even after that. So Sunday and Monday, we continue to see the threat for severe storms. We just start to notice a shift in where the threat for those storms begins.
And our thanks to Allison Chinchar. Coming up Sunday on State of the Union, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Dr. Mehmet Oz and Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin. That's Sunday at 9 a.m. and noon only on CNN. And we're ending our week on a high note. Our CNN family's growing. Emmeline Ray was born on Wednesday to State of the Union senior producer Michaela and her husband Mason. Big sister Maisie's already in love with baby Emmy, who weighed 7 pounds 8 ounces, is 20 inches long. Congratulations to Michaela, Mason, Maisie. We cannot wait to meet Emmy. Aaron Burnett Out Front starts now.
Out front next, breaking news, a third U.S. aircraft carrier arriving in the Middle East. 15,000 troops in the region as the ceasefire hangs by a thread. Trump's defense chief says the U.S. is locked and loaded. Plus, worst consumer sentiment on record, highest disapproval rating of the second term. What trouble does this spell now for the president and his party? A MAGA heavyweight says that he is running out of time to turn things around. And she was fired suddenly after speaking out against Pentagon overreach. The ombudsman for Stars and Stripes newspaper is our guest. Why does she think Hegseth wanted her out? Let's go out front. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kate Baldwin, in for Aaron Burnett. Out front tonight, the breaking news. A third U.S. aircraft carrier is arriving in the Middle East. The Pentagon says the USS George H.W. Bush is joining 2 other carriers, meaning 15,000 sailors and Marines are now in the region. More than 200 aircraft on these 3 ships. To call this a show of force is an understatement, as Trump's war with Iran is in its 56th day now. The fragile ceasefire tonight is hanging by a thread. And the only certainty right now is that there is a lot of confusion tonight. Trump's diplomatic duo, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, they're about to leave for Pakistan. The White House says they will take part in talks with Iran this weekend. The Iranian